A process is a set of interacting activities which transforms inputs into outputs. What is the process owner responsible for? A. Describing the process. A. Correct. The process owner has the authority and responsibility for ensuring that the process, its interfaces to other processes and integration within the SMS are documented, adhered to, measured and improved. Which question cannot be answered directly from the Configuration Management Database, CMDB? Which members of staff of Department X have moved to Department Y? C. Correct. Personnel moves would be tracked by Human Resources and only current office location information would be directly part of the CMDB. Which question can be answered directly from the Configuration Management Database, CMDB? A. What incidents or problems are related to this workstation? B. Which configuration items, sys, does a specific service consist of? D. Which requests for change, RFCs, have been submitted for a specific server? What is the best way that management can make this visible? Through leadership and actions, top management can make their commitment visible by showing strong leadership and taking firm actions, establishing and communicating the scope, policy, and objectives for service management and communicating the importance of fulfilling service requirements. What should be recorded as a baseline prior to implementing a plan for service improvement? Service or component configurations correct. The standard recommends the current configuration of affected components be captured before implementation so to measure improvement as well as create a fallback point. An RFC shall be assessed on risk, impact, and benefits. Targets for resolution should be based on priority. When scheduling an authorized change which will eliminate a known error, what should not be taken into account? The number of previously reported incidents for the particular configuration item, CI. This is not relevant when scheduling resolution. It is relevant when identifying problems. When scheduling an authorized change which will eliminate a known error, what should be taken into account? A. The available skills. B. The competing requirements for resources. C. The effort/cost to provide the method of resolution. Which process is responsible for recording the logical and physical relationships between the various components of the IT infrastructure? Configuration management. What should definitely be included in the service management plan? A. The appropriate tools to support the processes. A. Correct. The tools appropriate to the processes should be mentioned in the service management plan. What does a release consist of? A. A collection of one or more new or changed configuration items, sys, deployed into the live environment. Correct. A release is a collection of one or more new or changed sys deployed into the live environment. The correctness of the data is called integrity. Personnel should be competent on the basis of appropriate education and experience. What is a requirement relating to competence? A. Appropriate records of education, training, skills, and experience need to be maintained. Which standard supports the quality management system? ISO 9001. ISO 9001. ISO 9001. What is a responsibility of the service provider with regard to supplier management as defined in ISO/IEC 20001? To ensure that contracts with suppliers are aligned with SLAs of the business. What is Six Sigma registered trademark? It is a structured, statistically based approach to process improvement equals. Correct. Six Sigma provides businesses with the tools to measure statistically and to improve the capability of their business processes. An RFC shall be assessed on risk, impact, and benefits. The relationship processes describe the relationships with the business and with the suppliers. What do the relationship processes ensure? A. That business requirements and outcomes are the primary driver in managing the business and supplier relationship. The relationship processes cover supplier management and business relationship management, and together they should ensure that the business needs of the customer are understood and remain the driver for all actions. Where are agreements regarding service delivery and its relationship to information security management recorded? In a service level agreement, SLA. Correct. Agreements with the customer are recorded in an SLA. When implementing a new version of an application, both change management and release management are involved. What is the responsibility of the change management process here? Change management plays a coordinating role in this phase. Correct. Change management process plans, coordinates and approves all activities in this phase. Continual improvement is the focus of the Deming cycle. What document is directly supported by the supplier contract? A. Service Level Agreement, SLA. A. Correct. All supplier contracts should support and align with the SLAs between the service provider and customer. An example would be having an emergency electrical power supply. Which process could also initiate this kind of measure? A. Availability management. A. Correct. Availability management can take certain measures to ensure service delivery under abnormal conditions. One of them is to initiate an emergency electrical power supply. What is the intent of the service continuity and availability management processes? To ensure that agreed service continuity and availability commitments to customers can be met within agreed targets. SLM is responsible of meeting the customer's requirements and of issuing related reports. Note that service reporting would most likely produce the report based on a request from SLM. Which process ensures that an interruption in the provision of services is diagnosed as quickly as possible? B. Incident and Service Request Management. Correct. Incident and Service Request Management is responsible of restoring the interrupted services as quickly as possible. When a service outage of other failure is reported, in what order will the processes be executed? Incident management, problem management, change management, release management. Service level management will review service performance, achievement of SLA targets, with the customer. One of the activities required for effective planning, coordination, and evaluation of requested changes is assessing the impact and required resources. Which process or function is responsible for this activity? A. Change management. Why is it important that reviews are conducted regularly during the check phase of the Plan Do Check Act, PDCA, methodology? To determine whether the service management requirements are effectively implemented and maintained. Correct. This is part of the methodology in the check phase. What shall be done after a new or changed service has been implemented? A. A post-implementation review, PIR, is held comparing actual outcomes against those planned. What is the reason behind managing service availability, The business is more dependent on IT in order to meet corporate goals, thus achieving expected availability is crucial. The relationship between IT and the business is more critical than ever, and in order for the business to maintain its goals, services must be delivered to meet agreed upon service levels. 2.6 What is the recommendation with regard to the implementation of an emergency change? Where possible, the change process should be followed. Correct. It is recommended that the change process should be followed where possible, although any activities bypassed should be undertaken as soon as possible. Why are processes and procedures required for a service management system? To provide consistency in the output from activities. What would be a good reason for organizations to adopt ISO/IEC 20000? To demonstrate alignment to customer requirements. What does the ACT phase of this methodology cover? Taking the necessary actions to continually improve. What must be included in the release and deployment management procedures according to ISO/IEC 20000? Procedures to reverse an unsuccessful deployment. Where would an IT service for the customer be defined? In the Service Level Agreement, SLA. Correct. The SLA would define the service for the customer. A power failure has knocked out the entire IT infrastructure. Fortunately, a service continuity plan is available. At what point should the service continuity plan be invoked? When the failure will likely extend beyond the targets defined in the Service Level Agreement, SLA. Correct. The service continuity plan will be invoked if the targets as defined in the SLA cannot be met. Why is it important for service providers to maintain documents and records? To ensure effective planning, operation, and control of the Service Management System, SMS. Correct. Services, documents, and records are needed to ensure effective planning, operation and control of the SMS. Which activity is performed first after acceptance of an RFC? Determining the urgency of the change. Correct. The first step after the acceptance is to determine the urgency of the change. To restore services as quickly as possible is the intent of incident and service request management.